The FBI said they had just killed the most dangerous woman in America. She was 61 years old, gray-haired, and dead in a rented house beside Lake Weir, Florida. Her son, Fred Barker, lay dead next to her. The newspapers knew what to do with that kind of ending. They gave her a name that sounded bigger than a real person, Ma Barker, the mother of criminals, the woman behind the gang, the old lady who supposedly planned robberies and kidnappings, prison breaks, and murders while her sons carried out the work. It made a clean story. America was in the middle of the Depression, and the country had grown used to outlaws becoming famous. John Dillinger had been killed in 1934. Bonnie and Clyde had been shot down the same year. Pretty Boy Floyd was dead. The public was reading about crime like it was a traveling show, and the federal government was trying to prove it could bring order back to a frightened country. Then came Ma Barker, and she gave the whole era something it wanted, a villain with a family name. But the real woman was harder to fit on a front page. She was born Arizona Donnie Clark in Missouri in 1873. Later, she married George Barker and raised 4 sons, Herman Lloyd, Arthur Doc Barker, and Fred. The boys did not all fall into crime all at once, but over time, the Barker name became tied to robbery, prison time, violence, and fear. Herman died after a robbery went bad. Lloyd served time behind bars. Doc added to the family's criminal reputation. Fred became the son most closely tied to Alvin "Creepy" Karpis, the man who helped turn the Barker name into something national. Fred and Karpis met in prison. Once they were out, ordinary life was gone for both of them. They moved through the Midwest under false names, using stolen cars, and carrying enough weapons to bring federal attention down on them. By the early 1930s, the Barker-Karpis gang had moved beyond bank robbery. Kidnapping became their bigger business. In 1933, they kidnapped William Ham, a wealthy Minnesota brewer, and collected a large ransom. In 1934, they kidnapped Edward Brumer, a banker from St. Paul, and that crime pushed the Bureau even harder. These were rich men taken in daylight, held for ransom as the headlines kept growing. And in the middle of that, Kate Barker kept appearing beside her sons. That is where the legend grew teeth. The Bureau later presented her as the mind behind the gang, the woman who controlled the men around her. It was a powerful image, an old mother directing hardened criminals while pretending to be harmless. But Alvin Karpis later remembered her differently. In his telling, Ma Barker was kept outside the actual planning. The men did the criminal work. She lived near it, traveled with it, and was protected by the money it brought in. That version does not make her innocent. She lived with men who were running from the law, and she accepted the shelter their crimes paid for. She never left the sons whose lives were surrounded by violence. The old FBI version makes the ending in Florida almost simple. If Ma Barker was the mastermind, then the shootout becomes easy to explain. The Bureau surrounded a criminal genius. She fought back, and she died the same way any outlaw might die. The messier version leaves a harder picture. By January of 1935, the Bureau was closing in. Doc Barker had been arrested in Chicago on January 8th. During that investigation, agents found information that pointed them towards Lake Weir, Florida, where Fred Barker and his mother were staying in a rented house near Okolala. The place must have looked peaceful from the outside. Florida air, water nearby, a quiet house far from the cities where the gang had made its name. Before dawn on January 16th, federal agents surrounded it. They called for Fred and Ma Barker to come out. The people inside did not surrender. Tear gas went in, gunfire came back. What followed was a long, violent standoff that turned a lakeside hideout into the last room of the Barker story. When the shooting ended, agents entered the house and found Fred and Ma dead. From there, the Bureau's version and the newspaper version moved together. Ma Barker was no longer just Kate Barker. The mother of 4 criminal sons, she became the wicked old woman of the Public Enemy era, the hidden hand behind a gang that had frightened the Midwest and embarrassed the law. That version was easier to remember. It gave the Barker gang a center. It put a face on a scattered world of sons, robbers, kidnappers, hideouts, and dead men. But when you strip the legend down, what remains is colder. A family had rotted from the inside. Sons had chosen violence so often that it became the family weather. Their mother stayed near them until there was nowhere safe left to stand. The final image is not a mastermind at a table planning the next job. It's a Florida house before daylight, a map with Lake Weir circled, and an old woman inside with a son that she would not leave. Thank you all for watching. If you would like to support our channel further, you can support us on Patreon and also buy merch from our store. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.